Hey folks, so I'm 30 days out from my 6th album deadline. So I thought what I would do for this album is record a quick video every day as a countdown video to share my progress. Partially for me, but mainly to share with you the insights and ahas and light bulbs that I'm getting so that you can use them yourself. And what I'm doing at the moment, I've essentially got 10 tracks in release that I'm preparing for release. And just before getting them into release, what ended up happening was I ended up having to lower the bar significantly. Because if you've been following my album podcast, you'll know that I've been struggling to really engage with this album in the same way as I did the last one. So I've got to this stage, it's the final month, and I'm having to lower the bar significantly in order to make sure I get it done. And this is something that I think it's important to do. Every stage of your music is essentially to set yourself a goal, a deadline, some kind of challenge. And when it looks like you're not actually going to hit it, instead of just giving up and going, oh, I don't know, I can't do it. Just think about, all right, so if I had to do it, then what would I do? And in this case, what I realized at this point was that I needed to lower the bar for myself by choosing tracks which were actually closer to being done than the ones I would like, in an ideal world. So what I've ended up doing, I think there's only 1 or 2 tracks from the 100 Splurge Challenge that I started this album process with that were anywhere near done. So actually the majority of the tracks have come from the previous album's 100 Splurge Challenge. And this is something that I think you'll find if you start, like I am, to use albums as a way of finishing your music, whether you release them as albums or not, is that you start to build up this backlog of materials that you can use in situations like this to get things over the line. So at the moment, I only have 1 or 2 things in release that are actually from the most recent 100 Splurge Challenge. But I fully expect that there will be more than that end up on this album, because what always ends up happening when you're finishing an album is some of the things that you think will be on the album just don't make it. And you end up sort of last minute having to get things from elsewhere. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, what's most important is for my music and for my music career is that I get this album done. No matter what that means. I mean, obviously, it wants to be as good as I can make it. But aside from that, what exactly goes on it? I mean, who's to say that 2 of the tracks from my previous 100 Splurge Challenge are better than 2 of the tracks from my initial 100 Splurge Challenge? At the end of the day, it's more likely that I'm going to gain more momentum and do a much better job if I make it simpler for myself, which is why I'm essentially using the process of lowering the bar to get it done. So my plan over this week, so it's 30 days to go right now. So my plan is simply to cycle through twice with the music that is in release. And what I'm really focused on is the absolute most important, highest leverage actions first. So I really need to be nailing down what exactly the number one problems are in each of these pieces of music. And at this stage, now that they're in release, it's probably going to be, is this actually expressing the purpose? Is the purpose of the track? And is the track where it sits on the album at the moment? Because I have them, each of the tracks in a structure, which is defined by the structure of the album. Is the purpose of this track actually serving the purpose of the album? That's the number one question I'm going to be asking in my 2 cycles through each of the pieces in release at the moment. So that's me for today. I'll be back tomorrow. So keep on pushing and onwards and upwards.